Welcome to Should We Still Learn HTML, CSS and JavaScript Series Part 2. The time it takes to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript from scratch depends on your learning pace, dedication, and prior experience with programming. Learning HTML isn't too challenging, and most beginners can grasp the basics within a week or two. However, if you aim to master advanced topics like working with the HTML canvas element, it will take more time. For those new to HTML, debugging can sometimes be frustrating. You might find yourself struggling to spot errors, especially when everything seems fine, yet the page doesn't behave as expected. Developing problem-solving skills early on will help you overcome these issues more efficiently. CSS is both exciting and complex. It plays a crucial role in designing visually appealing web pages, and if you commit to understanding it well enough to translate UI/UX designs into code, you're on the right track. Responsive design, which ensures web pages look good on different screen sizes, requires mastering CSS media queries and flexible layout techniques. This can be tricky, but it's an essential skill for modern web development. Dealing with CSS issues, especially when managing large style sheets, can feel like untangling a massive knot. Unexpected layout problems can be frustrating, but with patience and practice, you'll improve. Aim to understand around 50 to 60% of CSS at first. If you dedicate 2 hours daily, you should become comfortable with it in about a month. Full mastery can come later with hands-on experience. JavaScript is where real programming begins, adding interactivity and logic to websites. While HTML and CSS focus on structure and styling, JavaScript adds interactivity and logic to websites. It's the foundation for creating dynamic web applications. Instead of jumping straight into frameworks and libraries, take the time to master vanilla JavaScript first. Spend a few months getting familiar with the core concepts before exploring tools like React or Vue. Everyone learns at a different pace, so don't get discouraged if it takes longer than expected. Consistent practice can provide a solid foundation in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript within 4 to 5 months. HTML, around 10 days, CSS, approximately 1 month, JavaScript, at least 3 months. With consistent practice, you can gain a solid foundation in these technologies within 4 to 5 months. Once you're comfortable, start building real projects to reinforce what you've learned. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is relying too much on tutorials without applying their knowledge. Whether you're self-taught or enrolled in a bootcamp, practice is key. Spend at least 6 months actively coding and exploring additional front-end technologies beyond the basics. So let's start with explaining what HTML language is. HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, is not a programming language but a markup language that defines how content is displayed on a web page. Unlike programming languages, which handle logic and functionality, HTML focuses on structuring text, images, and other media on a web page. The term hypertext refers to text that links to other resources, while markup language describes a system for structuring content using special tags. A web page layout is determined by HTML elements, which specify how different components should appear and behave. For example, when you see an image surrounded by text on a website, it's HTML that dictates how that text wraps around the image. Similarly, HTML ensures that headlines stand out, images have descriptive text for visually impaired users, and hyperlinks function correctly. An HTML element consists of 3 key components. 1. Opening tag marks the beginning of an element's function, e.g., p for a paragraph. 2. Content, the actual text, image, or other media displayed to users. Some elements, known as empty elements, don't contain visible content but provide functionality. 3. Closing tag signals the end of an element, e.g., p to close a paragraph. HTML elements can also include attributes, which provide additional styling and behavioral instructions. For example, an attribute in a hyperlink might specify that clicking the link opens a new tab, but ref equals https://example.com for target equals _blank visit example to. While HTML structures a web page, cascading style sheets, CSS, and JavaScript add design and functionality. Learning these three technologies together is essential for mastering web development. CSS enhances HTML by providing styling and layout instructions. Unlike HTML, which focuses on structure, CSS controls colors, fonts, spacing, and positioning. CSS isn't a programming language but a style sheet language that allows developers to format multiple HTML elements efficiently. JavaScript is a true programming language that adds interactivity to a web page. It builds upon the foundation established by HTML and CSS, enabling dynamic behavior and complex functionalities. Some common JavaScript-powered features include animations and interactive elements, pop-ups and modal windows, auto-updating content, such as live chat or real-time notifications, embedded social media feeds, interactive maps and scrolling effects. HTML is the foundation of the web, but learning it in isolation isn't enough. To build modern, visually appealing, and interactive websites, you'll also need CSS and JavaScript. With consistent practice, you can build a solid foundation in web development within 4 to 6 months. Ready to start your journey? Then watch my next video and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.